So, we are live. Hola, hola a todos. Hola, ¿qué tal a todo el mundo? Estamos aquí más una vez para hacer esta clase y hablar un poco de lo que podemos hacer, ¿vale? Y vamos a entender. Ya estoy viendo que hay muchos comentarios. Una vez más, muchas gracias a todos por estar aquí y poder compartir con nosotros y aprender un poco más con nosotros, ¿vale? Y lo que hacemos, para los que son nuevos aquí, yo soy Tiago, ¿vale? Aquí estamos en Cambly. Lo que hacemos en Cambly es una plataforma para que pueda aprender inglés con profesores nativos, ¿vale? Entonces, aquí es un ejemplo perfecto porque vamos a hablar hoy con uno de nuestros mejores tutores, que es Brendan, y él es bueno, os va a encantar y tenemos algunas cosas muy interesantes de lo que vamos a hablar con vosotros hoy, ¿vale? Una de las cosas es lo que vemos mucho últimamente en las noticias, en todo lo que... Bueno, donde queráis que estéis, vais a oír o leer o algo del coronavirus. Entonces, lo que queremos hacer es demostrar un poco, coger un poco de ejemplos que están en las noticias y compartir con vosotros. Entonces, aprender un poco del vocabulario que está en las noticias en general. Entonces, seleccionamos. Brendan tiene algunas buenas ideas de compartir algunas ideas con nosotros para que podáis aprender más de estos vocabularios. Entonces, si tenéis dudas, por favor, ponga aquí en los comentarios y os vamos contestando poco a poco, ¿vale? Entonces, será una clase totalmente en inglés, pero podéis hacer las preguntas en español si queréis, ¿vale? Y entonces, vamos a cambiar. Now we're going to speak English and... Hi, Brendan. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for being here with us. And
thank you.
I want you to, present yourself for everybody. Say something for everybody. There's a lot of people from all over the world. Bolivia, Spain, Argentina, Mexico, a lot. So, yeah, say something, present yourself.
Yes. Well, welcome, bienvenidos a todos. Hola a mis amigos también que están mirando. Soy Brendan. I'm Brendan. I'm originally from Chicago in the United States, but now I'm an English teacher here in Spain in a small city called Albacete. So thank you all. Gracias a todos. Thank you for coming and watching us today on Cambly. So nice. And a little bit about me. I've been in Spain for 2 years now, and I've been working as an English teacher. Before, I worked in a couple businesses. So when I talk to my students sometimes are curious about business English, but then sometimes they ask me vocabulary things, pronunciation questions. So I really like working with Cambly too because I get to meet people from all over the world. So thank you everyone from Mexico, South America, and Spain for calling today and connecting with us.
That's good. And that's one of the very good things about it, because anyone who is very in the basic level or want to start learning English, it's very good because, for example, Brendan, he can speak a little bit of Spanish as well. So actually he can speak a very good Spanish. And and that's good because if you want to start to learn English, we are offering now as you can see in the description, we are offering a promo code. Okay, so you have a free first class for you to start. And if you want to start with Brendan, we put it as well, his link his profile on Cambly, so you can actually schedule your first class with Brendan if you want it. Okay, and so I mean, let's see what we can start. Okay, remember, if you guys have any questions, please put it on the comments here. It will be amazing for us to answer some of their questions. So please be nice with us. Don't push too much. But and let's see. So Brendan, what do you want to share with us today? Since we're going to talk about this coronavirus vocabulary, so what we're actually seeing on the news and everything.
Yeah. Great question, because I remember in your introduction you said we're going to talk about the news. So, as Thiago said, we see news all the time, and basically the majority of things we see are coronavirus news, whether it's good or bad news. So today I went to two news sources that I usually like to read, or especially also with my students sometimes on Cambly. I will read news as well. So today I picked a little bit more positive news, but that still talks about coronavirus. And the great thing about Cambly, also too, is that we have a chat feature. So a lot of times when I find the news, I can share the website link in our little chat. Mm-hmm. So I can give an example of that. So the first article I found was from BBC. Also, too, when you're in Cambly classes, you don't have to click on the link. The teachers can also share. So I will also share, so you guys can see what I am talking about today.
Okay, that's nice.
Yep. So, all right. So in a couple seconds, you should be able to see my screen.
Okay.
So
yeah, we're already seeing. I can already see that.
Good. So, and that's the great thing with the Cambly platform. You can still see your teacher, but you can also see the article. So I really like that we can do this on Cambly with sharing. With the news article I picked something that everyone can connect to, that everyone can relate to, and the title here says coronavirus. Should I worry about my lockdown eating? As many people over the world can't leave their homes, so a great way to sometimes deal with the stress of being in our quarantine or in our lockdowns is eating a lot. I know I'm eating a little bit extra, more than I should.
all of us.
Yeah. And so one of the things that's great about articles is a lot of times we can learn vocabulary from the news. So one of the reasons I picked this article is not only everyone's eating a lot during the coronavirus pandemic, is also the words, and for example, in the title, it says lockdown. And so a lot of times people are thinking, what's the difference between quarantine and lockdown? And quite frankly, there's only a small difference.
Can I say just something? Because since we are already talking about lockdown, I saw here that one of our students, he just put it, Carillo, he just put it, what does lockdown mean? So, Carillo, we are going to ask you probably right now, as you, Brendan, are saying. So, yes, please continue, Great. Brendan. Sorry for interrupting you.
Well, no, but I'm glad people are asking that, because there's a lot of different words we use during this time when we're staying at home. Lockdown, the only difference between lockdown and quarantine is lockdown is usually a situation where people have to stay in a building or in their homes for some type of emergency. So a lockdown can be used for, let's say, there's something bad happening outside. Maybe there are criminals outside your building, and the police say, we're going to put this building on lockdown so you guys are safe. So lockdown is more for emergency things. So yes, the coronavirus is a dangerous thing. So we are in an emergency or a state of emergency. So we are in lockdown. With quarantine is only related to diseases or illnesses. And the coronavirus is a virus. It's a disease. So with quarantine, people stay in their homes or in a building to avoid spreading the disease. So lockdown is for any type of emergency, and you have to stay home to try to avoid the dangerous emergency. But quarantine's only related to illness or the virus or the disease.
That's interesting. That's very interesting. Yeah. Can I say, for example, as you said, if to use the word lockdown, it's for dangerous things happening outside. And for example, I can say people are in lockdown when are happening a storm or a hurricane, for example, can I use that?
Yes, you can use that as well. For example, in the United States, there are lots of hurricanes sometimes throughout the year. So when there's a hurricane coming through the United States, people might have to be on lockdown and stay in their home. So yes, you can use it. It's a word you can use for lots of different things. So it's a very universal word you can use for different situations, but quarantine is more specific.
Okay, that's interesting. And then exactly talking about what this article is saying, like, if anyone here, please put a comment if you are, because if you are eating more than you should, put the comment here, because probably I am eating more than I should, and because
Me too.
I am here now. I live in Madrid, and here we cannot go outside even if we want it. And I am actually eating too much, and we cannot do any exercise outside. So yeah, I mean, it's just a small percentage. Just people let us know here in the comments if you were eating more than you should as well.
Too much snacking.
Yeah.
And another thing I wanted to mention with vocabulary, there's a lot of like colloquial words, phrases that you might hear from England or America, slang words, for example. And you can also learn that from news articles from certain countries. So in the article they mention in this part, they talk about comfort food, and also later they talk about comfort eating. Now, that is something that's kind of like a new word we've been hearing these last couple of years. And a lot of times slang like phrasal verbs, slang can be combining different words. So when someone talks about comfort food, really it's just you're thinking of the two things. So comfort, something that makes you comfortable, that makes you feel good, and then food. So a lot of times people are going and having their Cheetos. That might be your comfort food. For example, my comfort food is dark chocolate. So, chocolate negro. I love my dark chocolate. So, a food that makes you feel good is a comfort food. So, the great thing with news articles, too, is you don't just learn basic English, you also can learn slang words, too. So, and I'll type that here because we haven't used the translation feature yet. So, there's a translation feature in the Cambly chat as well. And so for people who might not know comfort food, I could translate that from English to Spanish.
Yeah, it's a very good feature, but especially for people who are initiating or on the basic level, it's a very good one.
Or just starting out.
Yeah.
But then we also have to be careful because people like me who are learning Spanish, they might use this. I might use comida confortable. People say, "Oh, that's not a word we use." So with slang words, you have to be careful. So
yeah, that's true. It's a very good tip that you just gave us. It's a very good tip.
Yeah.
Can I
go ahead.
ask you some of the, because I saw here people are saying a lot of things, and one word especially put me on. I became a little bit curious about it because one of our students here, she just put it. I just lost her comment. There's a lot, but she put it that she's overeating. How can we use that's overeating?
So overeating, a lot of times when you hear the word over, you're going above something. So a lot of times when you're putting over with another verb or word, you're thinking you're going past a limit. You're going above a limit. So the way I would use it is I am overeating a lot during this quarantine, during this pandemic. So it's just like any other verb, but you're talking about you're eating too much. You're going past your limit. So this is my limit of what I should eat, but now I'm overeating. So I'm eating extra food, more food than what I should. Yeah.
Okay. That's very good to know. And there's one other student. He just gave us here it's very good because I don't know how to actually say that the end. I don't know if you are how can I actually pronounce that, but he asked something about the lockdown because he was with some doubts about it, and he asked, do you say under lockdown or in lockdown?
Okay, so you can actually use both in this situation. I have heard both where we're saying we are under lockdown right now, or we are in lockdown.
Mm-hmm.
So you can use both in your situations. That's one of the nice things, at least with the word lockdown, is you can use different prepositions.
Uh-huh.
So you can say we are in lockdown right now, or we are under lockdown. So to answer your question, both. You can use both. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. So you can continue what you wanted to share with us more. Yeah.
No, it was just more as we're going through the article too. Is that not only do you learn vocabulary, you can also just learn a lot of life tips too. So that's the great thing I think with the teachers can learn as well as the students can learn. So, for example, this article is giving tips of what you can do at home. So the BBC gave us a little picture of things you can do to kind of combat your overeating, your stress eating, as sometimes we say too. Also, one thing I want to mention too with articles, you learn a lot of vocab, but also you can practice pronunciation. And I know a lot of times we have trouble with pronunciation. So many times if you want to read an article, if you are a student, you want to read an article with your teacher, try to have your teacher suggest that you read. So you're reading out loud. So for example, if I'm reading from the picture, I might say, drink more water or herbal tea. And a student might make a mistake saying herbal tea because a lot of times we think, oh, okay, I need to say the H, but in Spanish we don't pronounce the H. We say huevo instead of huevo for the word egg. So it's good to read the article out loud because you might learn new pronunciations. Again, with Cambly too, it's great. You can learn pronunciations from different countries too. Because in England, they actually say herbal. In America, we say herbal. So
Interesting.
you can learn pronunciations from different professors too. So
depending on what your goal is, right?
Yeah. Again, Cambly is about finding what you want and improving. So that's why I always offer my students, you can choose what you want to work on with your teacher. So if you want to work on pronunciation, focus on pronunciation in your classes.
That's interesting.
And then
let me just say something. Everybody who is actually watching us on Instagram now, we wanted to just switch. Everybody who is in Instagram, just go to our YouTube channel, Cambly Hispanic, and we're going to continue there. So Instagram live now, just switch, go to YouTube. Okay? Para todos que estáis en Instagram ahora, hay que cambiar. Vamos a la YouTube, a nuestra página de YouTube, Cambly Hispanic, que vamos a continuar por allá, ¿vale? Now we're coming back to English.
Yeah.
Just for letting the people who are actually watching us on Instagram that we are switching and putting everything on YouTube. So just go to our YouTube page and then you can put more comments there, okay?
Yeah. Watch here. Yeah. Great. And then the only other thing I wanted to show was just another article to show some other vocabulary. So usually the main places I go to get my news are BBC and CNN. So I'm going to stop sharing this article. So now it's just our videos, and I'm going to share the other one real quick.
Okay. While we are in the changing
transition.
that, let me ask one of the students questions here for you as well. So let's see. Marwa, I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing that correctly, but she's asking, what does short selling mean?
Short selling. Oh, okay. Yes. So when you short sell something, you're not giving a lot of information. So sometimes and this can be related to the news. Sometimes people might say that, oh, this news source is short selling us, which means they're not giving us all the information that we should have. So short selling is one of those kind of words that we use. It's a phrasal verb we use to kind of say that they're not telling you all of the information. They might be in some way taking advantage of the people. So short selling. So if you short sell someone, that means you're not giving them a lot of information, and they might be doing that to gain advantage of something. So.
Oh,
yeah, it's a word I don't usually use, but that's what it means. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that.
Yeah. Any other comments that people had?
Well, we have a lot here. If you wanted to ask one more, let's see. That's there's let's say in which case, Jessica, in which case can I use the word lock up?
Okay. So that's a great question. When you lock up something, that's essentially you are locking something. So maybe when you're closing your door, you're locking your door. So I might say lock up. Did you lock up the house? Oh, okay. They're asking, did you lock the house? Cerrar la puerta. Or did you lock up the front door? So lock up is really when you're closing something securely and you are leaving it closed. So when you lock something, lock up. So lock up the house.
Okay.
So when you lock up the house, you close everything in your house and you leave for the day.
Can I use that, for example, let's say lock up the freezer?
Now, great question, because a lot of times we think, okay, lock means close. You can't really lock up your freezer unless your freezer has a little hole where you put the key in to lock it. Then yes. So you might lock up a safe. So I'm watching a lot of Casa de Papel. So they had to lock up the safe on that series. Yeah.
That's interesting. That's good. Yeah, it's a very tricky that sometimes we use in the wrong way. But I mean, it's another thing. Don't worry, everybody who is just learning a new language. Don't worry to make mistakes. I mean, it's perfectly normal to make mistakes. Don't worry. We still do a lot in all the languages, and that doesn't mean anything. So
so you don't know until you make a mistake. So exactly. I make mistakes all the time. And here in Spain, if I speak in Spanish and I make a mistake, someone corrects me, and I'm going to remember that for next time. So we don't know until we try to speak in another language and make that mistake. So it's okay. The more mistakes we make, the more we can learn.
That's true. So yeah, please continue with what you wanted to share with us here.
The other thing I want to talk about too is that in this article, they mention words like pandemic. And a lot of times, pandemic, we think, oh, what is this? Well, quite frankly, pandemic is the same thing as kind of like the coronavirus disease. So when someone says pandemic, they're talking about a disease, a virus that has spread out throughout many, many countries. So if people are curious what pandemic means, it describes the disease, the virus that is spreading all over. So people might say we are facing a pandemic. So a lot of times we can learn different words too. Now, one thing that's not in this article that I want to talk about that's related to coronavirus vocabulary are kind of colloquial or slang words we use in English as well. So a lot of people are hearing the word disinfectant. So which is it's disinfectant, can be like something with chemicals that cleans things. I think in Spanish, I might be wrong. I think we say desinfectante or algo así.
Mm-hmm.
So, but also a lot of times too in America, someone might say, "Can I have some Lysol?" Lysol is a name of a company. So a lot of times, sometimes people in English will refer to the name of a cleaning material. So instead of saying cleaning wipes, so wipes that help clean your house, someone might say Clorox wipes. And Clorox is a brand. We're not sponsored or anything, but Clorox is a brand. So a lot of times Americans might say a name of something that you might not have heard before, and they're actually talking about the name of a cleaning product. So
that's interesting. That's very interesting.
Yeah. So I was thinking, and then another one I found was a lot of times we're using hand sanitizer, which is the liquid that you use to wash your hands. A popular brand in America is called Purell. So someone might say, "Pass me the Purell. I need to wash my hands," instead of saying, "Pass me the hand sanitizer." So that was another kind of vocabulary thing I wanted to show today, is that sometimes, especially in America, we sometimes just use the name of the product.
Let's see. So everybody who is actually are with us here, how in your country you say hand sanitizer? Let us know here in the comments. As we already know that in United States we use the name of a brand. Let us know if you guys use that as well.
Or someone might say hand gel, and that's the same thing too. So I think a lot of times it's good to learn synonyms, which are words that mean the same thing. So I think it's great to learn vocabulary, but also learn other words that mean the same thing, because we have a lot of those in English. And that, in terms of, and then finally, they also mention in this article is the phrase "keep your distance." Is another vocabulary phrase I wanted to teach that is very related to the coronavirus now. And a lot of people think keep, when I hear the word keep, I'm holding something. I'm gonna guardarlo. And so, I'm gonna keep this pen, so it's mine now. But then when we see this phrase, we think, keep your distance. Okay, so am I going to hold? I'm going to have distance? That doesn't make much sense.
That's true.
And that's why it's good to learn, these kinds of phrases. Keep your distance means to stay away from someone. So right now, if you're in America, we use feet, so 6 feet in America, or in Spain or other countries, we use meters. So you need to have 2 meters between each people. And in this article, they talk about ways you can celebrate Earth Day, which was a couple days ago. So they suggest going for a walk. Some countries during the coronavirus can go for walks, or you can go for a run, but everyone's saying, keep your distance. So stay away at least 6 feet or 2 meters so that you're not touching anyone or infecting anyone. So again, it is just another great example of how you can learn new phrases from reading news articles. So hopefully everyone at home is keeping their distance.
Hopefully. And that's something that you can. There's these two. There's keep your distance that we are seeing a lot, and the social distancing. The distance or distancing. I don't know exactly how to pronounce it and say that.
You said it right. Social distancing. Yeah.
Okay. So, and there's any difference between those two, or is basically the same?
They are very similar. I think with keep your distance, when we hear that phrase in English, we automatically think about the actual space between you and me. So I'm actually going to be 2 meters away from someone. But social distancing is more talking about the interaction between people. So, because when we think the word social, that means to talk, to be interactive, to so. For example, Instagram is social media because you can comment and interact with the photos. So, social distancing is more saying don't be close to people in general. So, practice social distancing by talking to people with video calls, with phone calls, because you're connecting from a distance. So, you're talking from a distance. So, keep your distance more actually being 2 meters apart, but social distancing is more staying away from people, but you can still communicate with videos, phone calls, texting. So that's the big difference with those two ones.
Okay, that's interesting. That's interesting. Let me ask you one more thing. That I saw that a few people were asking that specifically this question, and Marwa and Hans, these two both are actually Cecilia as well. So there's a few people who are actually asking these questions, and he's asking what's the difference between lockdown and curfew.
Great. You took the words out of my mouth. That was going to be one of my next words.
Okay, so, that's good. That's good.
Thank you for Hans and
Cecilia and
Cecilia.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I lost those comments, but anyway, thank you for everybody.
Thank you everyone for asking that. Great question. Curfew is a time limit. So usually, for example, I know at least in some countries, you can go outside, but only for a certain period of time. So the rule might be, we have a curfew between 3 in the afternoon until 10 o'clock in the morning. So that period of time, you can't be outside. Or sometimes a curfew might just be, you can be outside until 10 p.m. So, for example, you can use it for rules with like a lockdown, but also too in America, you might hear teenagers saying, oh, I have a curfew, I have to be home at 10 o'clock. So you might be hanging out with your friends, and you might tell your friends, oh, I have a curfew, so I have to leave now. So that means you have to be home at a certain time. So it's basically rules you have to follow with time. You have to be in your house at a certain time. So your country might say you can be outside from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., but at 5 p.m. is when they begin the curfew. Lockdown is just the word in general where everyone has to stay home. So
that's very interesting. Didn't know about it. So thank you everybody again for these questions. That's very
great question.
Yeah. And let's see, since we're already talking about like coronavirus and everything's in lockdowns and curfew, and Ruben, he's asking, is there any difference between disease and illness?
Okay, so disease, that's a great question too.
Yeah, right.
They're reading all the words that I was thinking of. Great. Making my job easier. Disease is something that is contagious, which is I think in Spanish, contagioso. So when something is contagious, that is related to a disease. So if you have the disease, someone else can have it. Illness is usually referred to something like a cold, a flu. Again, you can spread the cold or flu, but an illness also can be something that is not contagious. So for example, cancer is not if I have cancer, my friend Bob, if I'm standing next to him, he won't get cancer. So cancer is an illness. So an illness can be a cold or flu, which is contagious, but also an illness is something that someone else may not get. Disease is something that someone else can get, always. So that's the big difference. Illness is a general word for all things of when you're sick, when you're not feeling well. Colds, flus, cancer. Illness is more of a general word, whereas disease is contagious. Someone else can get it. So.
Very interesting. Very good questions. Thank you, Ruben, for that.
Thank you, Ruben, for that question. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Continue.
No,
sorry.
No. Please continue. You're the expert here. I'm just following you.
And actually, the one thing I also want to mention too is that disease and virus are very, very similar. They're actually synonyms. So if someone says there's a virus outside, that's the same thing as disease, where someone else can get it. But one thing I wanted to mention about virus is now with technology and computers, we use virus for our computers. So sometimes your computer might be broken because of a virus, but you can't use virus. You can't use disease for your computer. So if I say, "Oh, my computer has a disease," that we don't use that in English. So virus is related to disease, but we can't use disease for your computers. We can use virus for our computers. So it's good to know synonyms once again, but you have to be careful.
Yeah, that's good. That's very good. Let me just say something. I just read here that if we are uploading this class, now we are not uploading. We're just live, and just I want to say if there is any delay in our voice or anything like that, please sorry, but it's I had some problems with my internet here today, so maybe it can be like that, or maybe the software that we're using. But anyway, we're doing our best for you guys to learn, and I hope everybody's listening well and are able to see us well as well. And just keep sending us questions because we are actually live and we are here. We are not uploading this video.
This wasn't planned. Every question you're asking is new to us. We didn't see these questions before.
Yes, that's true.
Good. In terms of, I guess if we want to continue with vocabulary, I also, one verb that I think we hear a lot is people say they are stuck. They are stuck at home, or they're stuck in lockdown. And I'll type that out. One thing when we hear stuck, it's a slang word we use to say you can't move anywhere. So this is a common word that maybe people have questions about that we can use for our situation now, but for other things too. You can use stuck if you're, maybe you get your hand stuck in something. Maybe you're in your washing machine, you're getting your clothes out, and your hand gets stuck. You can't move it. So we can use stuck for a lot of different situations, not for just us in our house, but as well as being stuck in something. Or also we can use stuck for if you maybe you're, for example, I'm learning Spanish, and sometimes I'm stuck. I can't improve more and more. So what do I do? So again, we can use words like stuck. I'm sure you've heard it maybe on the news if you watch English news. So I just want to explain that verb too. And that's mainly all of the words I prepared today. So we can go back to the comments as well.
We have a very good one here that we can actually maybe improvise a little bit and maybe see if you can find anything online, because Esteban, he's asking, can we talk about the symptoms of coronavirus in English?
Okay.
So
great.
Maybe we can even try to find a article that's saying that. Maybe I don't know what.
Actually, yes. Yeah. You know what? We'll jump from we'll go on CNN. So a lot of times, another reason I use these websites is because you can easily search for things. So I might search symptoms of coronavirus. That's a great question, actually, because this is also good vocabulary we can find.
Because it's a very good thing. And just remembering everything, para todos que estáis empezando y queréis coger la primera clase gratis, tenéis aquí abajo en la descripción del vídeo un código promocional. Entonces, lo que queréis empezar, buscar ahí abajo en la descripción. Claro que después que acabar esto, ¿vale? No salga ahora y podéis empezar, ¿vale? Entonces vais a tener una clase gratis con el código promocional que hemos puesto aquí abajo. Y si queréis tener una clase con el tutor Brendan, que habla también muy bien el español, además que él crees que no, pero hemos hablado en español y él sí que habla muy bien el español. Si queréis coger una clase con él, tenéis ahí en la descripción también el enlace donde te va directo al perfil de Brendan en Cambly. ¿Vale? So, yeah, coming back to English, yeah.
Great. No, I second that. I think this video today gives a great example of what Cambly is like. But like he said, I recommend you try try the class with the link below, because you'll be surprised how much you can learn just from we said 15 minutes, correct? A 15-minute conversation. You can learn a lot just in that short 15 minutes, and then you might want to have more and more with Cambly. Mm-hmm. So I highly recommend it. I wish we had a Cambly in America for Spanish, because practicing definitely improves everything.
Yeah, maybe we should try. Maybe we should keep these in mind, and maybe Cambly will start to teach some Spanish as well. Maybe. Why not?
Maybe in the future, I would definitely sign up. Very good. So, of course, I know some of the symptoms of coronavirus, but I did find an article that explains a lot about coronavirus. They say, what is coronavirus? So, a lot of times we can find these things in the news, but if we just want to talk about basic symptoms, I remember in March, I was looking up a lot of these things online, and the differences too. So I'm not a doctor, mm-hmm. but the things we did see with symptoms of the coronavirus is cough, which is a great word to learn, because where's the F? Why don't we have an F in cough? It's COUGH. Mm-hmm. But that's the word that we use. So cough, or tos, mm-hmm. Or tost if you're in South America.
Yeah, I would actually put it here in the translation for us to see how the software will translate for us. So toser.
Toser, yeah. Mm-hmm. To cough, mm-hmm. Perfect. So it's not with the Z, it's with an S. I apologize. Tos. Mm-hmm. So cough, again, it's like it's one of the symptoms of coronavirus, but also symptoms of things like a cold or a flu. Another word we use is fever. Mm-hmm. So again, if you translate fever into Spanish, you have fiebre.
Yeah, put it here.
Yep. Yes. And so if you have a fever, that is also another symptom of the coronavirus. Also, too, there was other things, and this is a little bit more difficult, is mm-hmm. that you have mucus. You have a little bit of mucus, which I think is mocos. Mm-hmm. In English, it's a little bit of mucus.
Mucus.
And the mucus is like the mocos. The mm-hmm. mucus is in your cough. And then the final big symptom of coronavirus is a sore throat. Mm-hmm. So again, that's when your throat, it hurts. So we can use sore for other things too. And I just realized we want to use sore with SORE. So even, I apologize, I used a different version of sore. So let me type it out better for you. Because there's two words for sore. Again, English, we have to remember which spellings. So soar with an OAR, that means you're flying. But soar, SORE, that means when something hurts. So if your throat, garganta, I believe is the word. If your throat is sore, that's also another symptom.
Let's see what's the translation put here as sore throat. Dolor de garganta. That's interesting. Very good.
Yep. So hopefully those are symptoms that you can learn from English. Again, a lot of times what we're seeing in the news is that this virus is hard to recognize because a lot of these symptoms are related to things like the cold, constipado, or the flu, gripe. So make sure that, wherever you are, make sure you're being careful with your symptoms. So,
yeah, that's true.
Public service announcement, or PSA right there.
Let's see one more question here. Gabriel, he's asking, wait, I want to know other words that should be more normal to hear during this situation. For example, everyone says pandemic. It is correct, and or what kind of phrases normally uses related with coronavirus? Well, I think what we already talked, right, a little bit. Pandemics.
Yeah.
So if it says pandemia, it's like pandemic. So.
Yep. Yeah, pandemic you'll hear a lot too. You might hear a word like outbreak as well, which I'll write that for you. Because we think, okay, we have to write them separately. In this situation, we put out and break together. You might hear the coronavirus outbreak. When an outbreak happens, that means it's kind of like a virus is spreading. That's another verb that you might want to hear is spread, which means that it's moving, it's going around everywhere. So outbreak is a word you might hear. The verb spread you'll hear a lot too on the news. You might hear, unfortunately, there's some more negative words. You might hear mortality rates, which I remember we had talked about in a previous Cambly Live.
Yeah.
The word you might hear rate. You might hear words like hopefully flatten the curve, which is another phrase we've learned before with Cambly Live in our Cambly Live videos. So there's a lot of different words, but
those are probably the most
common that you might
most common that we're hearing a lot. But the same, Gabriel again, he asks a very interesting question right now, and that's a very good one. And what he wanted to say, what's the right way to say the person died as a consequence of coronavirus, or he died for coronavirus?
Oh, okay. So it looks like we're talking about different words between from or for. We would go with the first sentence. So from the coronavirus.
He actually didn't put it about from. He just said the person died as a consequence of coronavirus or died for coronavirus. So probably from. So, it could be a very well. I mean, you can.
Yeah. No, that's a great sentence, Gabrielle. As a consequence of, that's a great phrase. That's like intermediate, advanced level phrases. That also, as a consequence of, can be also from. But if I died for coronavirus, we can't use that sentence because that means, I will give another example. So when in the military, sometimes they'll say, a soldier dies for his country. So when you say die for, it's the cause, una causa, So the cause, the soldier was working hard and fighting, and he died for his country. He was protecting his country. So that means if you say you died for coronavirus is the thing that you died, and that's the reason you died. You wanted to die for that. So we can't use for in this situation. But as a result of or from is fine. Because from is you get it. You get the thing. So you got the virus. and so you died from the virus. So for we cannot use.
Okay, so forget the for.
Yeah, forget the for.
In this situation, no, definitely
in this situation, don't forget for in general. It's a very useful word. Yes. Well, good. Any other comments that we found?
Let's see. There's one interesting here as well. Cecilia, she's asking, should we say stay home or stay at home?
Great. Again, English is one of those funny languages where you can use it both sometimes. So in this case, you'll see stay home, because that's like a command, like stay home. But you'll also hear stay at home. But the more common phrase I'm hearing from the news is stay home. You can use both because they're both grammatically correct. But if you want to be if you want to speak English that is more common, you would say stay home. Because home is one of those words you don't need to have at, because it's one of those places you always go. So home and work are two words where you don't need to say at, but you can. So it's, again, there's little tricks in English. So home is one of those words where you don't need at, but you can still use it. Same thing with work. You know.
Interesting. Let's see. Want to hear more? Batch Cobain, and he's asking. I want to talk about. He want to talk about diseases. Can I use the verb catch? Catch disease? Or
yes. Yeah.
Or what's the differences between?
You can say you caught a disease, and then also another word we use is infect. So I was infected by a disease. So you can say you caught a disease, but usually I will say we use caught for words like cold and flu. So you can use caught because English speakers will understand that phrase, but usually disease is something more serious. So you would say infected by the disease. Yeah, you can still catch the disease. That's fine, but it's more common to say infected by the disease.
Okay.
Same thing with virus. You can catch the virus, but it's better to say I was infected by the virus, because a disease and virus are a little bit more serious than an illness like a cold or a flu. So yes, you can, but it's better to say infected with disease.
Okay, that's interesting. So it's a very good question.
Yeah, great question.
Let's see here. Geraldine, she's asking about is fever a flu?
So again, I'm not a doctor, but yes, a fever is not a flu. It's a symptom of a flu. So if I have a fever, that might mean I have a flu. So fever is usually a symptom of a disease or illness. So fever and flu are not the same. But if you have a fever, you might have the flu. So again, fever is a symptom. Symptoma, right?
Yeah. Oh, okay. So it's just a symptom. It's not a flu itself.
Yeah, fever and flu are not the same thing. No.
Okay. So maybe we can we're already like almost 1 hour here. That's good, and people Maybe we're going to do our last question, or maybe
we can look at the last question.
Yeah. Or let's see if we can find. There's one interesting here, and Marwa, again, she's asking a lot of questions. Thank you, Marwa, for that. And what does breakdown mean?
Okay.
If it's the correct way to use it, or how can we actually use this word breakdown?
Yeah, we've been hearing a lot of lockdown, but yes, we have the word breakdown, which can be related to the coronavirus. So we use breakdown for two things. Again, English, we don't have as many words as Spanish, so we have to use the same word for two different things. So breakdown can be literally taking apart something. So I have a piece of paper and I'm breaking down the paper. I'm taking it into pieces and I'm breaking down the paper. I'm breaking down a box that I got. So taking apart, breaking something. Also, we can use breakdown for stress. And unfortunately, sometimes we are stressed during this quarantine, during this lockdown. So if someone says they're breaking down, that might mean that they are having stress. They're a little bit sad. So you can use it for two different things: for breaking something into small parts, or if you are stressed and you are starting to be a little bit more stressed. But there are plenty of things you can do to not be stressed at home. But yes. So if you're starting to be sad or stressed, we use breakdown for that.
Okay. Since we just talked about it, I said it would be the last one, but I just saw that J.R. Barrios, Junior Barrios, I think, he just put it here. There's something interesting in it. And can you give me an example with the phrasal verb come down, please? So it's
yes.
Since we're talking about this stress situation that we're living, this is probably a good thing. So
yes, okay. That again, I like how we're connecting these.
Yeah.
You again like breakdown, come down. We use in two different things and two different situations. Come down, you can come down with something. So you can come down with the cold. Sometimes we say that. So I've come down with a cold this week. So come down can mean you get an illness like a cold or a flu. We wouldn't usually use it for I've come down with the virus, but you can also use it. So when you get an illness or some kind of cold, you can use come down. So I've come down with a cold, but we wouldn't commonly use it for a virus. Or come down again is more of a directional thing. So you can come down from that tree. So maybe you climbed a tree and you're telling your friend, come down and climb off or get off the tree. So yeah. So we use come down for getting an illness. Come down with a cold is a common phrase, or you're telling someone to move from above to below.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
That your question.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. It was very good. So yeah, I think it was our last question. It was almost 1 hour of live. That's good. People are still here. People are still putting comments. And now I want to thank everybody again for being here. Gracias a todos los que están aquí. Estamos haciendo esto. Queremos crear más contenidos. Entonces, esto es una manera de estar ahí con vosotros y crear más y compartir y aprender. Entonces, si tenéis más comentarios, más dudas, podéis poner en los comentarios después en el vídeo de descripción aquí en YouTube, y poner un like ahí también para ayudar también a nosotros que estamos aquí creando esto. Estamos haciendo todo bastante aquí desde casa y intentando, es una prueba, ¿vale? Entonces espero que gustáis. Muchísimas gracias a todos. I want you to give the word to Brendan, if you wanted to say something for everybody, and a goodbye, or if you wanted to find you on Cambly. So yeah, please.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Cambly, and thank you, Thiago, for inviting me today. Thank you, everyone who came to watch an example class of what Cambly is like. So I hope as well to see you guys try out Cambly. So again, like Thiago said below, in the comments there's a link for my profile. And also there's a link for trying out Cambly for free. So please try it out, especially now since we have to be in our houses. Cambly is a great way to pass some time and also improve your English. So gracias a todos y espero que nos vemos pronto.
Y eso es. Y Brendan habla un español muy bien. Otra vez, si queréis empezar, estás ahí empezando y queréis, empezar a hablar inglés con alguien que entienda un poco lo que tú estás hablando, podéis otra vez aquí en la descripción hay el enlace que que te direccionará a al perfil de Brendan en Cambly, ¿vale? Y es claro, como ha dicho él, tenemos un código promocional que está aquí abajo en la descripción también, que pues, vais a tener una clase gratis, ¿vale? Para todos los nuevos estudiantes, los que queréis empezar, estamos ahí y hay un código promocional, ¿vale? Muchísimas gracias a todos más una vez y os esperamos la próxima semana. And that's it. Thank you, Brendan, again for your time. Thank you very much.
You.
And then,
all right, have a great one.
Bye bye, everybody. Stay safe. Stay at home. Okay.
Yeah. Wash your hands and stay in home. Yeah.
That's true. And use the hand sanitizer.
Use the hand sanitizer. Yes, exactly. Thank you so much, Thiago. All right. I will see you guys next time.
Ciao.